There is a strange moment that almost everyone knows. You look at your life, and you realize that you thought you would be somewhere else by now. Maybe you thought you would have found your path. Maybe you thought you would be stronger, happier, more successful, or more certain. You look around and see people moving forward, and a quiet thought appears in your mind. I am falling behind. The thought can become hard to escape. You start measuring your life against an invisible clock. By this age I should have done this. By that time I should have reached that place. By now things should look different. And when life does not match the plan, the mind makes a painful mistake. It does not simply say, "Things are different than I expected." It says, "Something is wrong with me." That is how a timeline becomes a burden. The strange part is that this timeline is often not real. There is no universal clock telling every human being when they must grow, change, succeed, begin again, or find peace. Yet we treat these imagined deadlines as if they were laws of nature. We see someone moving faster, and we call ourselves slow. We see someone reaching a place before us, and we call ourselves late. We forget that we cannot see the full story of another person's life, just as they cannot see ours. And slowly, we stop living the life in front of us. We start living against a picture in our mind. This is where the old wisdom of the Tao offers a very different way of seeing time. The Tao does not tell us that everything will happen exactly when we want it to. It does not promise that every dream will arrive on our chosen day. It asks something more difficult. What if life does not need to follow the schedule we created for it? Look at nature. A tree does not pull at its own branches because it thinks it should be taller by now. A river does not become ashamed because it takes a longer path around a stone. Nature moves when the conditions are ready. But human beings often try to force what is not ready, then blame themselves when it does not happen. Maybe the deepest question is not, "Why am I so late?" Maybe it is this: who decided where I was supposed to be by now? And if that answer came from fear, comparison, or someone else's timeline, then perhaps being behind was never a fact. Perhaps it was only a story. The strange thing about feeling late is that the clock is usually not on the wall. It is in the mind. Somewhere along the way, we begin to build a private list of when things should happen. We should know what we want by a certain age. We should be successful by another age. We should have the right people around us. We should have our life figured out. Nobody may have written these rules down, but we still believe them. Then we look at someone else. They seem to be moving faster. They have something we wanted. They reached a place we have not reached yet. And without even noticing, comparison becomes a form of judgment. Their progress starts to feel like proof of our failure. But we are comparing two lives that were never meant to follow the same path. We only see what is visible. We do not see the fear, mistakes, delays, or private struggles behind another person's progress. Still, the mind takes one small picture and turns it into a story. I am behind. That story creates pressure, and pressure makes us want control. We try to force results. We push harder. We worry more. We keep asking why things have not happened yet. But there is a quiet problem here. What if the suffering is not coming only from the delay? What if it is coming from our demand that the delay should never have happened? This is where the Tao begins to offer a different way of seeing. The Tao does not ask life to move faster just because we are afraid. Nature does not work by our personal deadlines. A seed does not become a tree because we become impatient with it. It grows when the conditions allow it to grow. Human beings often fight this simple truth. We want the future now. We want certainty before we are ready for it. We want the result without having to pass through the time that creates it. And when reality refuses to obey, we call reality wrong. But maybe life is not resisting us. Maybe we are resisting life. The Tao points toward alignment, not endless acceleration. It asks us to notice what is happening instead of constantly demanding what should be happening. Yet this creates an even deeper question. If we stop forcing life, do we simply sit still and wait? Or can we move forward without fighting the current? That is where the difference between acceptance and passivity begins. You finally stop pushing, and for a moment, that can feel strange. If you are not forcing things, not chasing every result, and not trying to control every step, you may wonder what you are supposed to do. Are you giving up? Are you becoming passive? Not at all. The Tao does not tell you to sit still while life passes by. It points to something more useful. Learn how to move without fighting everything around you. There is a difference between action and struggle. You can work hard because something matters to you. You can make a choice, take a risk, learn a skill, or begin again. But there is another kind of effort. It comes from fear. You are afraid that if you slow down, you will fall behind. So you push harder. You keep checking for results. You try to control every detail. The body may be moving forward, but the mind is fighting every moment. This is where effort can become its own problem. Imagine trying to open a door that is locked. You push harder, then harder again. You become frustrated because the door will not move, but the answer may not be more force. The answer may be noticing that the door is locked. This is close to what Taoist wisdom points toward through Wu Wei. Often understood as action without force, it does not mean doing nothing, means not wasting your strength fighting what does not need to be fought. Sometimes the right action is to move. Sometimes it is to pause. Sometimes it is to change direction. And sometimes the wisest thing you can do is wait until the conditions are right. The difference is important. Passive waiting comes from fear or confusion. You stop because you do not know what to do. Patient action is different. You remain awake. You keep learning. You keep preparing. You simply stop demanding that the result arrive before its time. This changes the meaning of progress. You no longer need to rush just to prove that you are moving. You can move with purpose. You can act without panic. You can accept what is here without giving up on what may come next. And perhaps this is the freedom hidden inside the idea that nothing is late. You do not have to stop moving. You only have to stop fighting the timing of your life. But then another question appears. How do you know when the time is right? How can you tell whether you are being patient or simply waiting for life to change? The answer may be easier to see when we stop looking at the clock and start looking at nature itself. Think about a seed buried under the ground. From above, nothing seems to be happening. Days pass, then more days. There is no green leaf, no visible growth, no sign that the seed is becoming anything. If you only looked at the surface, you might call it stuck. But beneath the ground, something is changing. The seed is not failing because you cannot see the change. It is preparing. Nature has a way of doing this that human beings often forget. Not everything important happens where we can see it. A tree does not rush because another tree is taller. Winter does not feel ashamed because spring has not arrived yet. The river does not worry that it should have reached the sea sooner. Each thing moves according to its conditions. There is a time for growing, a time for resting, a time for changing, and a time for letting go. None of this means nature is always calm. Storms come, branches break, forests burn. Old things disappear so new things can begin. But nature does not need to follow a human calendar. This is where the Tao becomes easier to understand. The Tao is not simply about moving slowly. It is about moving with what is real. A seed needs soil, water, warmth, and time. Giving it more pressure will not make it grow faster. In the same way, some parts of our lives need conditions before they can fully unfold. Maybe you are learning something. Maybe you are healing from an old mistake. Maybe you are becoming ready for a change that you cannot see yet. From the outside, it may look like nothing is happening, but a quiet season is not always an empty season. Sometimes the deepest work happens where nobody can see it. This changes the way we look at delay. A delay may still be painful. Waiting can still be hard. We do not have to pretend that every setback feels good, but we can stop assuming that every delay is a mistake. Some things cannot be forced into existence. They need time, they need the right conditions, and they need us to stop pulling them toward us before they are ready. Perhaps the path is not always taking you away from where you want to be. Perhaps some parts of the path are preparing you for it. And once you see life this way, patience begins to feel less like standing still. It becomes a form of trust. But that trust asks something difficult of us. Can we stop demanding that this moment be different from what it is? Because when we do, we may discover that the moment we have been trying to escape is already part of our becoming. There is a quiet moment when you realize how much of your life has been spent waiting for life to begin, waiting for the right chance. The right age, the right person, the right version of yourself, and while waiting, the present can start to feel like a place you are only passing through. You wake up, but your mind is already somewhere else. You finish one day while thinking about the next. You look at what you have and think about what is missing. Even good moments can feel incomplete when your mind keeps saying, "Not yet." This is one of the hidden costs of living by an imagined timeline. The present becomes a problem. You stop seeing today as part of your life and start seeing it as an obstacle between you and the life you think you should have. But what if there is nothing wrong with today? What if today does not need to prove that tomorrow will be better? This does not mean giving up on your dreams. It does not mean pretending that pain does not hurt, or that goals do not matter. It means something much simpler. You stop asking the future to give permission for the present to be valuable. You can still work towards something. You can still learn, grow and change, but you no longer have to hate where you are while trying to reach where you want to be. This is where the deeper meaning of the Tao begins to settle. In the Tao is not asking you to win a race against time. It is asking you to notice the life that is already moving through. Wu Wei is not only about what your hands do. It can also change the way your mind relates to life. You stop forcing every moment to become something else. You stop saying, "This should have happened by now." You stop treating every delay as proof that you have failed, and slowly Something opens. There is more space inside you. You can breathe. Without checking how far behind you are, you can notice small progress. You can enjoy an ordinary day without needing it to lead somewhere important. You begin to understand that acceptance is not weakness. It is the end of a fight that never needed to happen. Nothing is late does not mean everything you want will arrive exactly when you want it. Life does not make that promise. It means your life is not a failure simply because it took a different path. The moment you stop fighting time, you stop fighting yourself. And then the question changes. Instead of asking, why am I not there yet? You begin asking, what is this moment asking me to see? That question is where the Tao leaves the mind and begins to enter daily life. Maybe nothing about your life has changed. The same questions may still be there. The same goals, the same problems, the same unknown future. And yet, something inside you can change when you stop calling yourself late. You may still want more. You may still need to make hard choices, work for what matters, and change things that are no longer right for you. The difference is that you no longer turn every unfinished part of your life into proof that you have failed. You begin to see what was hidden before. There was never one clock that everyone was supposed to follow. You created a picture of where you should be by now. Maybe other people helped create it. Family, friends, school, society, or the quiet pressure of watching others move ahead. But the schedule was never written into nature. It was only a story, and when your real life did not match that story, you thought something was wrong with you. That belief can steal years. You can spend so much time thinking about where you should be that you stop noticing where you are. You miss the small changes. You miss the lessons. You miss the people beside you. You miss the ordinary days that were never obstacles at all. They were your life. The Tao does not promise that everything will happen when you want it to. It does not promise that every dream will come true. It does not remove loss, change, or uncertainty. What it offers is a different way to stand inside all of it. You can act without panic. You can work without needing to prove your worth. You can wait without believing you are wasting your life. You can change direction without calling the past a mistake, and you can keep moving without turning every step into a race. This is what natural timing can mean. Not doing nothing, not giving up, not waiting for life to become perfect. It means meeting the moment that is actually here and then taking the next honest step. Some days that step may be small. That does not make it meaningless. A quiet step is still a step. A slow season is still part of the journey, and a life that looks different from the plan is still a life that can hold meaning. So when the old feeling returns, when you see someone moving ahead and hear that familiar voice telling you that you should be further by now, pause. Look at the thought. You do not have to believe it. You are not racing against another person's life. You are not failing because your path has taken longer. You are here, and from here you can begin again. Maybe the question was never, why am I so late? Maybe the deeper question is, who convinced me that I was supposed to be somewhere else by now? And once that question becomes clear, something becomes quiet. You no longer need to prove that you are on time. You only need to be present enough to live the life that is already unfolding.